Hello again. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a flower. It's pretty simple, and I hope you have some fun. To start, we're going to draw two swivels. These are going to be the top of the petals of the flower. So just right here. 1, 2. Next, we're going to draw more swivels, curves, in concentric circles around the center here. Those are going to be the tops of all the petals. Just like that. As you go further outward, make them larger and larger. Something like that. Okay? Next, I'm going to draw the sides of the petals. So you start at the edge of each of these curves and go down, like that. And while I do that, I'm also going to extend some of the curves a little bit to give them a bit more body, just like that. So I always try to give the petals enough curvature so you can see both the front and the back of most of the petals. So just keep doing this for all the petals we drew, just like that. I'm giving this one a bit of a curl at the end so you can see the back of it. So yeah, I'm just doing this for all of the petals. There we go. So the ones on the outside here, I'm going to draw them down a little bit. I'm not going to draw them all the way down, since we'll do that later. Okay, almost done with this part. There you go. So you can see I drew the sides of the petals. Just fill this one out a little bit more. Next, we're going to go back to the outer edges here. And I'm going to draw these down so they connect at a point at the bottom. That's going to be the bottom of the head of the flower. Just like that. And add in one more petal here. Outside. So curve it down. So at the bottom of the flower, I'm going to make the top of the stem, and that's going to be somewhat of a upside down cone. The big part of it is that it's very rough in texture. Okay? So now we'll finish this off here based on the angle that we're looking at, like that. Okay? Next we draw the stem. So I'm just going to draw the stem straight down. Expect it to be very straight and smooth. What I like to do is, let's say this is a rose, so the stem has a thorn on it. Draw a little thorn here. Like that. And then draw the rest of the stem. So that's the outline of our flower. I can also put a leaf on the stem to give it a bit more character. Let's do that. Stem of the leaf, and then have some curve downward, and draw the other side here. Yeah, that's our leaf. Typically the leaf has a spine in the middle here, just like that. Okay. Now we're going to shade it. So normally when I sketch, I use a pencil. But at the moment we just have a Sharpie. So shading is going to be a bit trickier. Rather than applying more pressure the way you do with a pencil to get lighter or darker, what you have to do with a pen is crosshatch to get lighter or darker. So let's start by shading the stem. Starting with the top of the stem, I'm just going to make this really dark on this side, which means our light source is coming from this direction. And then as I go over to the side here, I'm just going to use dots to signify the very bumpy texture. And as I keep going over, I use sparser and sparser dots to show that we're getting closer to the light source. Okay? You can also add shadow. So the head of the flower is going to cast a shadow on the stem, so the top here should be all in shadow, like that. For the rest of the stem, rather than the bumpy texture up here, you expect it to be pretty smooth. So I'm just going to have a straight line down to signify that this is curved. And on the thorn here, just give it a bit of shading from the bottom. Just like that. Okay. On the leaf, you expect the leaf to have two halves, and each halves to be curved upward. So you can just shade the same side of each half, like that. And also give it a bit of texture. You expect the sides of the leaves to have veins in them, and you can add in those lines like this. And try to follow the curve of the leaf. Okay? Now we shade the petals. And again, we have to use cross-hatching because we're using a pen. Let's just finish this up here. So to start with, I'm going to bolden the outer edges of the outsides of the leaves. So something like this. Okay. That just shows that there's some curvature. There we go. Next, I'm going to try to use cross-hatching to give a bit more shading in this direction. Okay. And as I get closer to the center here, I use lighter and lighter touches, so that gives less and less hatching and tries to give a bit of a curve feel. Hatching here. Here. I'm just doing the outsides of the petals right now. We'll do the insides of the petals later. Lighter and lighter hatching. Just like that. Finish this on up. Okay. And then on the edge here, just make sure that's thick to signify that's actually the edge of the petal. Just like that. Okay? So we're going to repeat that process for all the petals inside. Fortunately, these are the biggest ones, so it should go quicker. Fill in the outer edge, and hatching thick, and hatching thin. Try to make it as smooth and continuous as possible, and then bolden out the edge. So, solid on the edge, then thick hatching, and then thin hatching. And for this leaf, it starts to curve inward a little bit, so I'll use some thick hatching over here. And bolden out the edges. Okay? Just like that. So keep going. And we're just doing the outer sides of each petal. Solid on the side. Hatching. And then light hatching. And then bolden the edge. Okay? Hatching. and then light hatching, golden on the edge. Okay? Keep doing that. Okay, we're almost done with the outsides of the petals. Just a few more to go. And there's just this one, I believe. There we go. There you go. And then the one in the center. So this one's really curved. So solid on the side where it's curved away from us. And light hatching where it's facing us. And then there you go. And then down here, make it solid because that's going to be in shadow. Same for one like here. Okay. So those are all the outsides of the petals. Now we do the insides. What I like to do is, if you remember how flowers are, the outsides of petals tend to be glossy and a darker color. The insides tend to be softer and a lighter color. So to signify the difference in texture, rather than using horizontal hatching, I'm going to use vertical hatching. Because they're meant to be a lighter color, I'll space that hatching out more. So as an example, just something like this. Okay? But I still want to bolden the outer edges of each leaf so it's clear which vertical lines represent the actual leaf and which represent texture. There you go. Make this one darker in here because it's going to be in shadow. And then lighter vertical hatching right there. But you can still do the same thing with the lighter vertical hatching. You can space out the lines more or less based on the curve. So we'll do that on the ones that tend to curve away from us. For each of these, so here's a good example. This side should be facing us pretty light, and then on this side, much denser. And then down towards the bottom here, it's going to be in shadow, so that's going to be denser as well. So denser on this side, since it's curved away from us, and then lighter over here. And then keep this one pretty light, since it's curved towards us, and it's on the outside, so it's going to get more light. Same thing for this one. So we're almost done here. We just finish up the last few parts of the insides of the petals. Like that. And again, the parts that are curved away from us, shade a bit darker. And the parts that are lower down, we also shade a bit darker. Okay, just some final touches on a few of these. Like that. And that's just about it. Embolden a few of these. But other than that, we are done. What do you think? This is our flower. Pretty simple to draw. If you had colored markers, you could make the top rose red and the stem green. You can do whatever you want for the background. Sometimes I put abstract shading in on the sides, or sometimes I just like to leave it blank. Well, I hope you enjoyed this and maybe learned something. See you next time.